ITCF 2022, co-organized by the International Cooperation Center of Taipei Computer Association and the Bureau of Foreign Trade. We would also like to express our utmost appreciation to the InvEX India for partnering with us for ITCF this year. We would also like to show our gratitude to all our speakers today who take time to join us. We'd like to remind all our online speakers to keep the cameras on throughout the event while keeping the microphone muted until the sessions come. Last but not least, we would like to thank all the industry leaders, veterans, experts, academicians, and all our ITCF fraternity for joining us here physically and here online. To be a part of today's event, it meant a lot to us, and it's a pleasure to have everyone here today. Now, let's begin by inviting Mr. Y.P. Huang, the Vice President of Taipei Computer Association, to deliver a welcoming remark. Let us welcome Mr. Huang.
我们印度台北协会的施副会长，我们印度投资局的副局长，还有台北印侨的会长，以及我们宏创绿能的郑营运长，还有我们优必扩的何副总啊。那各位嘉宾、各位产业先进，大家午安。
午安。
非常的荣幸啊，我们今天邀请到印度中央的政府机构的代表，跟我们一起分享印度绿能产业的政策。那也感谢我们台湾的这个绿能产业的代表啊，一起跟我们分享他们在绿能以及 ICT 科技的发展的一些现况。那台北市电脑工会呢，每一年都会举办这个 ITCF 的这个台湾跟印度的合作论坛。那今年已经办了是第11届哈。那从2011年开始到现在啊，我们台湾跟印度双方的这个产业界、官方或者是学术单位，透过这样的一个交流平台啊，已经促成了双方10多年来的商贸的交流活动。那也针对一些重点的产业以及经贸的这个趋势啊，推动各种台湾跟印度双方合作的机会。那为了促进台湾跟印度的商贸拓展啊，那工会在9年前在班加罗啊已经设立了一个办事处。那我们当地的代表啊，这个克西南先生啊，他除了可以协助台商在印度当地拓展他的行销跟他的产品的曝光之外，也可以协助台湾的厂商啊在印度设立办公室，扩大在印度的商贸合作机会哦。那在双边的交流上面呢，工会除了扮演台湾跟台湾政府的一个沟通跟建联的桥梁之外，也扮演着这个台湾啊跟印度的中央以及各邦啊政府的一些人脉关系的建立。那我们跟印度啊各个大的展会啊都举办一些活动哦，那扮演双方的一个桥梁。那也跟当地有15个工协会啊一起签署了这种 MOU， 加强在 ICT、半导体或者是这个主机板以及智慧城市这些产业的领域的互动跟交流。那这次的这个活动论坛的举办啊，很感谢我们国贸局的支持，那也感谢各位长官、各位先进今天盛情的参与。那期望各位今天有一个丰富的收获。最后，敬祝各位身体健康，事业顺利，谢谢。
Thank you, Mr. Huang, for your kind words and warm remarks. Please return to your seat with extra care. Thank you so much. Okay, right up, I would like to introduce Dr. Cheng Li, the CEO of the International Cooperation Center of TCA, the organizer of this forum, to share briefly on our theme today. Let us welcome Dr. Li.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Cheng Li. My apologies for not being here in person with everyone. The India Taiwan Cooperation Forum has served as the platform for exchanging policies and market updates, also enable opportunities for India and Taiwanese commercial, governmental, and academic establishments for more than a decade. Overall, ITCF has grown to be recognized as the leading event in promoting India-Taiwan cooperation. The theme of the ITCF this year is Attending Climate Neutrality through Green Energy and Tech. This theme is important because the changing climate is something that will not only affect us, but also our future generations. And in this topic, green energy adoption will have many business opportunities to be explored between Taiwanese and India companies. I hope this forum will highlight those opportunities for both Taiwanese and India industries and will pave way to collaboration. We are very delighted and honored to have these experts join us to share their valuable views. I want to thank everyone again for being here today, and we're looking forward to an informative discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. This event is really well planned and is really good thought through. Right, up next, I would like to welcome Mr. Rishikesh Swaminathan, Deputy Director General of India Taipei Association, to deliver the VIP remarks. Let us welcome Mr. Swaminathan.
Mr. Y.P. Huang, Vice President, Taipei Computer Association, Dr. Cheng Lee, CEO, International Cooperation Center, Taipei Computer Association, my friends and representatives from industry from both the sides. A warm good morning to the participants from India and a good afternoon to my friends in Taiwan.
Good afternoon.
It is my pleasure to join you all today in this 11th edition of the India Taiwan Cooperation Forum. Over the years, this forum has evolved into a niche platform by drawing on the best minds of our two sides to hold discussions on several themes which are some of the most crucial issues concerning the global community. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the team from Taipei Computer Association for sustaining this platform and keeping the conversations alive despite the challenges. India's climate goals stands as articulated by our Honorable Prime Minister at COP26 last year, which includes our commitment to cut India's total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030, reduce the carbon intensity of the economy by less than 45% by the end of the decade, and net zero carbon emissions by 2070. India's track records in achieving our commitments is clearly demonstrated by the fact that India stands as one of the very few countries to have successfully achieved the commitments made at the Paris Climate Conference. In our path towards achieving the slated goals for the future, India would look to increasingly rely on tech-driven transformations of all parts of our economy. On green energy, India is one of the fastest growing renewable energy market in the world. Installed renewable energy power generation capacity has posted an annual growth of 17.33% between financial year 2016 to financial year 2020. As India looks to meet its energy demand on its own, renewable energy is set to play an important role. The government is aiming to achieve 227 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2022, more than 175 gigawatt target as per the Paris Agreement. The country is targeting about 525 gigawatt of installed renewable energy capacity by 2030. Similarly, India also announced a national policy on biofuels in 2018 to provide momentum to production of biofuels. Realizing the key role that would be played by energy storage solutions for the sustainable development and growth of renewable energy, Indian government has come out with a production-linked incentive package to promote the manufacturing of advanced batteries with a budgeted outlay of $1.5 billion. India is also investing big on the new technologies of green hydrogen, and big businesses from India are taking the leap in these new technology areas. With these interventions in place, India is on track to becoming a leader in renewable energy installations in the coming decade. India's startup ecosystem also plays a crucial role in our climate actions. Rapidly growing interest and investment in this space is not only beneficial for the nation's energy transition, but also offers the potential of global impact. The COVID pandemic and the long lockdown have put 400 million Indians at risk of falling deeper into poverty. And this is a global risk that has been reflected in many parts of the world also. All these drive to intensify the need for affordable energy solutions in every box of our life. These factors are driving the demand for reliable, clean grid power, electric vehicles, more efficient buildings, and distributed energy solutions to serve remote areas. Today, we are seeing new areas of cooperation between our two economies in the areas of sustainability, and we are confident that with the joint efforts of India and Taiwan, we can bring a sustainable and resilient future for the entire region. Thank you so much for the Taipei Computer Association and the organizers for inviting me and having me. And thank you so much for all the businesses for being part of the discussions today. I hope that today's discussion yields better cooperation and better possibilities between the two sides. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Swaminathan, for these informative remarks. Thank you once again for joining us today. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. G.J. Lee, Deputy Director General of Bureau of Foreign Trade, to deliver welcoming remarks. Let us welcome Dr. Lee.
Good day, all the friends on the site, and also our Indian business partners online. And I would like to pay my special thanks to Taipei Computer Association in collaboration with the Indian Taipei Association and also the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, and also other partner organizations to organize this year's India and Taiwan Cooperation Forum in Taipei. And I'm also very delighted to see quite a few business people, business leaders from Taiwan and from India also join today's seminar. I think this year's the opening of Computex in Taipei already showcased the significance of the mines industry development. But also one of the very important topic of this year's exhibition is focusing on the possible solutions for the development of future technology, especially for the renewable energy. And we understand that Taiwan and India for long years enjoy a very good economic collaborations, either in the area of bilateral trade and also industrial collaboration and also the investment. And however, the renewable energy development in Taiwan, and right now is a very important also emerging issues. Government Taiwan already mentioned and also announced our roadmap to the net zero emission by 2050, and also already announced the roadmap and the strategies for various sectors of industries, for electronics, for chemicals, for textile. So all the traditional sector and also the advanced technology sectors, how to do the zero emission by the dedicated timeline. And the government of India also has lots of national flagship policies, and not only to highlight the Make in India and also Make for the World policy, but also try to also to show the determination also toward the net zero emission by 2070. So I think the joint collaboration between India and Taiwan on the development of new technologies for the renewable energy also very important and essential. This year's the renewable energy development in Taiwan is mainly focused on the wind power and also the solar power. And also we also has the very appropriate energy mix. About 20% of the power generation in Taiwan will be contributed by renewable energy. So this also shows our determination to help the industries to upgrade their competitiveness, and also to let the industries to adopt more renewable energy in the future. So in the future, we think government of Taiwan and the government of India, we can work together hand by hand and also try to create more possible opportunities for collaborations. So I pay my special thanks to all the participants online, participants on the site, and also all the organizers for today's seminar. And I'm looking forward to later on our prominent speakers and the panelists of the related issues can tell us how to make more good discussions and also do more experience sharing about the renewable energy generation and the storage and also the saving and also to find the new ways for collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Please remain on the stage. Please remain on the stage. There's gonna be a great Taiwan-India collaboration. All right, then we will move on to our group photo taking session. I would like to invite all our guests once again to come on stage, as well as our online speakers together. All right, we would like to take a group photo to remember these wonderful moments. Okay, so our online speakers, later wait for my cue. Just look into the camera and smile, all right? Okay. Wait for my call. 3, 2, 1. Maybe we want to move closer to each other. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. We're gonna take a few more, so don't worry. All right, wait for my call once again. 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, now let's do a thumbs up for everyone. Our speakers online, let's do a thumbs up together. Yeah, and smile into the camera. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much once again for your patience and time. Please return to your seats with extra care. Thank you. Thank you. It is indeed an honor for us to have the experts with us today to share on their perspectives and their insights. The topics today develops around the idea of the climate neutrality with green energy and technologies associated with it. So to begin with, let me introduce Dr. Fred Cheng, the COO of iMeier Green Technology from Taiwan, to share an overview of Taiwan green energy ecosystem evolution. Welcome, Dr. Cheng.
Thank you. So I'm going to take this chance to talk about the how Taiwanese e-scooter industry help to get to the net zero goal, and use that as an example. First of all, everybody know the net zero, which is by 2050, all the emissions should be zero. So IEA say that by 2030, all the new cars should be 60% electric. And by 2035, they recommended no fossil fuel car and 50% of the electric for the heavy duty trucking. And in Taiwan, as Dr. Lee had mentioned, the government also has a strategy in terms of the energy transformation and also the policy for different sector in the industry here. And as I am part of the e-scooter industry, so I'm trying to use this as an example to take the history review, how we do it to achieve this net zero emission. And interestingly, Taiwan e-scooter development is actually beginning almost 30 years ago, back in 1992, when the government assigned ITRI to develop a e-scooter. ITRI is funded by a Taiwanese government as a research institute. And then 3 years later, the government start a subsidy program for consumers buying a scooter. Okay. Then, in 1998, the government set up a goal, say that 2% of the domestic sale should be e-scooter, and this is going to be begin on year 2000. Okay. And then it's also talking about how to set up both the charging station and battery swapping station. And since the 2 years limitation, so everybody try to develop e-scooter. So 6 companies come out, join together, develop the first ever scooter, and it used sealed lead acid battery, SLA battery. But unfortunately, the SLA battery is very heavy, and the motor that used also suffered the performance issues. So this one actually comes very fast, but they didn't sell very well or accepted very well in the market. And in year 2000, Kimco also come with their own Model Air. Okay. And by 2009, Taiwanese government also set up a standard e-scooter standard that talk about safety, the integration, performance of the testing of the e-scooter. And then it also published a e-scooter industry development execution plan that recommend the industry to adopt a better energy source, which is a lithium-ion battery. And then it also saying that they're going to continue this subsidizing program and subsidize on charging station facilities set up. So there's more company come out with the e-scooter models. Interestingly, by 2011, Gogoro, which is a very famous Taiwanese e-scooter company, they started a company on 2011. And at the same year, the Taiwanese government also saying that they're going to waive the national sales tax for people to buy e-scooter. And the local government, which take the registration license, is going to be exempt as well, okay, to encourage people to buy e-scooter. And on 2013, government published all the national standard for charging station, the interface, its safety requirement, and the protocol. Okay. And they also published the inspection standard for battery swapping system. So they understand, the government noticed that although there are 15 companies and 40 e-scooter received the subsidy, but the sales didn't really reach the expectation level. Okay. So the government in 2014 started to promote the so-called high-end e-scooter that use, say, lithium-ion battery, and encourage people to use more the so-called local-made component. Okay, and Gogoro take this chance to come out with their first ever lithium-ion battery e-scooter, and use a so-called battery swapping system. The model is called Smart Scooter, and the sale did not fly off right away. Okay, and so both the industry at this time actually started to argue about how to take care of this battery, the energy source for e-scooter. So the charging system and the swapping system, it's been going through a heavy debate in the industry as well as in the government. And final decision is, let's decide later. So by 2017, government announced, say they'd like to see these all new e-scooter sales are all, or the all new scooter sales are all e-scooter by 2035. And they also announced that the internal combustion engine light scooters should be decommissioned or stop the sales by 2019. Okay. And at the same year, Google want to push to promote its own swapping system, so they built a so-called battery swapping alliance partnership, okay, which is going to help Google sell quite a bit. And a year after, the 2018, two Taiwanese companies started interface with talk to Indian company, try to start up the e-scooter business in India. And interestingly, the ICE light scooter sales that powered by the gas did stop sales on 2019. And the e-scooter sales reached an annual sales of more than 160,000 units that year. Okay. And it helped Google to went public this year. Okay. So that's a kind of a short run through of the e-scooter industry in Taiwan. And traditionally, Taiwan's scooters industry is a big industry in Taiwan. Just Taiwanese market only, the domestic is about around 900,000 to a million unit a year. Okay, but most of these industries set up a factory outside Taiwan. So Taiwan is one of the major scooter manufacturer worldwide. Okay, and if we take the domestic e-scooters versus the entire scooter annual sales, it's still very small. You can see that the one that's talking about percentage of total annual scooter sales, the highest that we ever achieved is 18.4% back in the 2019. But during the pandemic year, 2020 and 2021, it actually backed down to about 9.3% or 11.3%. Okay, so there are room for Taiwan e-scooter industry to have better goals. Taiwan continues to build the required infrastructures, which is the charging station or battery swapping station. Okay, and so it's a quick rundown of the Taiwanese e-scooter industry, and let's try to look at the so-called success and hiccup of the industry. Okay. The first one that we could see that the first mandate by the Taiwanese government said that by year 2000, 2% of the sales, new scooter sales had to be e-scooters. That policy is a very good policy, but on the market-wise, it did not come with a very good result. Okay. The reason I came up is because the market is not ready for electrifying e-scooters. Okay. The more concern is how we're going to take care of the existing business and the old infrastructure. Okay. And then there are also technical issues. Back then, the motors and the control system wasn't well designed, and the expertise is still waiting for development. And moreover, the batteries, the SLA is very heavy, okay, and cannot give enough power to have reasonable or desirable cruise range. Okay. And we all know that the difference between a e-scooter and a gas power scooter basically is the differentiation is on engine and the power source. Okay. E-scooter engine use use a brushless control system. The power gas use combustion engine plus ignition system. Okay. And the 2015, the government allowed themselves to pull back. Instead of directing people how to do, they say, we're gonna just do the standard policy and let you handle technical and market. Okay. So, and as far as for the energy accessing and delivery, they allow two systems coexist. Okay. So that helped to let people, the market, to decide which way they're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to start to talk about a little bit about our company, knowing that history. And so we founded in the May of 2016, and we choose to do this e-scooter by using a hot motors plus a charging system because it's convenient for the consumer and low operating expenses. And we like to find the partner, especially for the Indian region, because India has a large e-scooter market, a scooter market. Okay, so we're going to offer the reference design, the key component, manufacturing safety certification know-how, to work with our partner over in India that could provide the sales channel, service, factory, and certification. So then we could work together with the product that we have, the technology that we could provide, and we could join together to gain this market share and develop the business all together. Okay, and here's my contact information. Please contact me if you're interested. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Cheng, for such a comprehensive introduction of iMeier and the e-scooter development and strategies. Okay, now I would like to welcome Dr. Prerna Soni, the Vice President of InVEX India. Dr. Soni will be sharing on the business opportunities in India. Dr. Soni, are you with us?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to speak to you about the opportunity that India has to offer in the renewable energy space. We've spoken a lot about the partnership that India and Taiwan can actually, build and deliver on in the technology space. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a view of the history of renewable energy development in India and what the future really looks like. If I talk about India as a country, there's a significant amount of development that we are seeing. Everybody's talking about the transformation that India is seeing. We already are a 3 trillion economy. We're looking at becoming an 8 to 9 trillion economy, maybe the third or the fourth largest economy in the world by 2030. With that kind of transformation happening, with that kind of growth happening in the country, it is essential for a country like India to focus on sustainable growth. With that in mind, India has put a target for itself, and this is something that India announced even during COP20, that we will have net zero emissions by 2070. To be able to achieve that, we have also put a target for ourselves of 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel capacity, of renewable energy capacity by 2030. Essentially, 50% of our renewable energy supply is going to come from renewable energy sources. We had also put in a target that 40% of our renewable energy is going to come, 40% of our total energy is going to come from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030. But in 2021, we already achieved that target by having over 150 gigawatts of renewable energy. If we talk about this energy ecosystem, if we talk about how from 175 gigawatts today, we will move to 500 gigawatts in 2030, how the achievements that we've already achieved right now of significant amount of solar, hydro, wind, biopower, there has been a lot of impetus on renewable energy and clean energy that the government has been putting in the country. I want to give you a 2-minute history on how that actually happened. How was it that India built this ecosystem? I'm sure a lot of you are aware that when India started off with renewable energy, the prices were really high. It was not comparable to thermal in any way. And today we are sitting in a situation where renewable energy is cheaper than thermal energy in the country. We're actually looking at a price of just around 2 cents for a kilowatt. That is the kind of energy availability in renewable that India has been able to generate. How we did this was initially government came up with something called a viability gap funding. Every time a project would come up in the country for generation of renewable energy power, and it was not viable because of very, very high costs of solar panels, technology that was still not very advanced. To make such projects viable in the country, the government would give somewhere between 20 to 40% of the project cost to the private party to make sure that the project becomes viable. The second big thing that the government did was to make sure that there is a demand that is available. So almost all government entities were necessarily asked to procure a percentage of all of their energy requirement from renewable energy sources. The third big piece that the government did is anytime you're talking about renewable energy, it is extremely important that you can get it connected to the grid. The entire electricity grid for movement of electricity in the country needs to have renewable energy sources. To be able to do that, the country created a lot of renewable energy parks. We created solar parks, wind parks, a hybrid of solar and wind parks. All of trunk infrastructure was made available in these solar parks. All of grid connectivity was made available in these parks. So all a private party had to do was to come in and position themselves in these parks and start generating power. We've also come up with various other initiatives within the government, and I'll talk specifically about how we are looking at now manufacturing through various sources such as 100% FDI is allowed. There was again assured offtake that I spoke about, wherein long-term power purchase agreements were signed by the government to make sure there's significant amount of demand and assurance of revenue within the Indian ecosystem. So once we created that big ecosystem wherein demand is created, there is a trunk infrastructure and basic infrastructure available in the country. We created a supply source as well in the country by all of these tenders that were done by the central government and state governments, because of which we created a capacity of 150 gigawatts. The next target for us as a country, and that is something where we are working on at present, and that is certainly something where Taiwanese companies can partner really well with India, is technology. I gave you a perspective of how we were able to bring down our costs of renewable energy to almost 2 cents per kilowatt hour. And the reason we could do that is there was a significant amount of investments and knowledge and innovation that went into creation of technologies which can be used for this renewable energy. Today, we are sitting in a position that we've had a significant amount of dependence on one single country for all of our solar panels. To make sure that we can become self-sustainable and we can take care of the large targets that we have, we are talking about 500 gigawatts in the end of the day. To be able to create that kind of ecosystem within the country, we are now looking at a large-scale manufacturing of solar panels within the country. We as a country are looking at providing various kind of incentives, and I'll talk about them a little later in the presentation. But while we provide all of these incentives, it is imperative for us to get the kind of technologies which will help us reach that target And I think that is a great area of collaboration between India and Taiwan. I wanted to very quickly give you a view on certain sectors that we've spoken about, solar, wind, hydrogen, to give you a perspective on the opportunity that is available. And then I will very quickly also tell you about who we are, what we do, and how we can help you in entering the Indian market. If I start with solar energy, India has a current capacity already of 55.3 gigawatts. As I mentioned, we have 52 solar parks already available, which are more of a plug and play model. All trunk infrastructure is available. You only have to come and set up. We are, as I mentioned, looking at creating a demand of solar cells and modules. We already have a demand of 30 gigawatts. And solar energy currently is looking at 30% of India's total electricity demand. Our target, however, is to go from the 55 gigawatts that we are at to 280 gigawatt installed capacity by 2030. That is the opportunity that needs to be tapped into. As you see, we have identified a few large investors who are in this space already. These players and a lot of mid and small scale enterprises within the country are present in the renewable energy, specifically solar in the country. If we talk about wind, wind is a very interesting example that we can talk about in India. This is because we have a lot of in-house manufacturing that is available. We have a current capacity of 40.5 gigawatts, which is actually taking care of 17% of India's total electricity demand. We have actually a capacity of 10 gigawatts of manufacturing in India. So unlike solar, wherein we have a dependence on another country, we have a very well-established manufacturing base with end-to-end integration of the entire supply chain for wind blade manufacturing in the country. However, having said that, we again are looking at moving from 40 gigawatts to 140 gigawatts by 2030, which shows the kind of opportunity there is for wind blade manufacturers and wind generation in the country. I want to spend some time and give emphasis to green hydrogen. The whole world is right now talking about green hydrogen. There's a lot of buzz going on all around the world as to how to create an ecosystem for green hydrogen and how to make it technologically advanced enough to make it viable across the world. India has started off by already coming out with a national hydrogen mission. We already have a policy in place. India was one of the pioneer countries to actually put in place a thought process for hydrogen in the country. We're looking at significant amount of investments, over 50 billion over the next 25 years. But what is very interesting, and this is something that we've learned from our success in solar, is that it is very important for the government, private companies, international investors, international and Indian technology providers to come together to be able to create an ecosystem wherein areas such as green hydrogen and solar become successful. India already has a very, very large conglomerate which has committed that they will invest more than $75 billion only in green hydrogen, and they have a target of bringing the price of green hydrogen down to $1 per kilowatt hour. This is exactly what India did in solar as well, wherein we used significant amount of technologies to bring down our costs. We aspire and we look at a roadmap to be able to do something similar for green hydrogen as well. And this, I believe, is one of those new upcoming areas where Taiwan can have a first mover's advantage by partnering with Indian companies, by partnering with the Indian government to create an ecosystem, to share technology know-how, and bring down the costs and capture the market that India has to offer. I spoke about how there is a significant focus on manufacturing. So while we want to bring down our dependence on one single country for our solar panels, one solution that we brought about for ourselves is that of a production-linked incentive. This is again a learning that we for ourselves took from our electronics sector. To give you a little bit of a history, I'm sure a lot of Taiwanese companies are aware of how well established the electronics manufacturing ecosystem in India is now. But there was a time when India had a saying that electronics is the new oil problem in India. The reason for that was that most of our electronics had to be imported into the country from other nations. We only had 3 factories which were manufacturing electronics, including mobile phones in the country. India took a lot of steps. We came up with something called a production linked incentive. We brought about a lot of focus on ease of doing business. We made policies which were competitive globally and not just within India. And today, we have more than 223 factories which have become mobile phone and electronics manufacturers in the country, making India a net exporter of electronics as against a net importer. That learning is exactly what we now want to use and duplicate in our solar story as well. As I mentioned, more than 85% of our solar panels right now are coming from a neighboring country. We want to reduce that dependence, which is why we are talking about coming up with the solar PLI. The PLI functions in a way that you have of all the production, if you meet the criteria that has been set by the government, if you meet the criteria, then 3 to 5% of the total production cost of solar PV modules will be given by the government of India. This makes production in India absolutely viable and competitive with developed nations within Europe, US, including Taiwan. The idea is to create an ecosystem wherein if you come in and meet all the criteria and access the production linked incentive, your costs automatically.
Dr. Soni, sorry for the interruption. Just 1 minute more for your presentation. Thank you. Sorry
Yes,
for the interruption. Thank you.
No worries. I'm just winding up. I'm on the last slide. Thank you. Lastly, I want to talk about how we've been able to attract enough institutional money. As I mentioned, we've created a capacity of 150 gigawatts. All of this came in by public-private partnerships in India. What we've been able to do is attract enough amount of institutional investors to partner with strategic investors and strategic players such as Greenco and Renew, who now manufacture in the country as well as generate power in the country. With that, I conclude. I thank you so much. We are Invest India. We are the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of the Government of India. Our focus is to bring investments into the country. We will help you in identifying what the opportunities are in the country, what is the market like, the entire market landscape, competition, joint venture, partnerships, anything you want to know about India, we become your one-stop shop. Thank you so much. I have my colleague Aju, which I'm sure a lot of you know, who is dedicated to the India Taiwan desk, and we'll be very happy to welcome you to the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Soni, for your sharing. We definitely have learned some of the unique business opportunities in India. Okay, I would like to welcome the CEO and co-founder of Nimble Vision, Mr. Chinnayya, to share on technology and energy sustainability. Let us welcome Mr. Math.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Mr. Math, you can share your presentation and begin when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready now. Hello, I am Chinnayya, CEO and co-founder of Nimble Vision. We are Bangalore-based IoT startup. We are into smart water and sewage management using IoT, AI, and ML. And we believe water, energy are very closely linked. Conservation of water is also leading to the conservation of energy as well. So that is how we are helping people in India to bring the massive awareness about water conservation and as well as energy conservation. We are helping common people, farmers and industries in conserving water and energy and also the money with our massive analytics on IoT-enabled platform. Vision is to become the world leader, and we address below UN SDGs in our platform: clean water, industry innovation, sustainable cities and communities, and goal 12, sustainable consumption. The goal 12 is more important as the whole world is understanding that we have a limited number of natural resources, and these need to be consumed in a proper way and optimized way so that next generation also can avail these as well. So we have built a platform called NEET. Before this, I would like to show a video actually how we are helping people. Is it okay? I can share a video.
Mr. Matt, would you like to turn on the audio for this video?
You are not able to hear it.
The sound.
It is not
the
audible
sound,
to you.
The sound. You have to turn on the sound. Turn on the volume, please.
Okay.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Matt.
So
Just a friendly reminder, because your video is actually muted, I think you have to stop sharing first, just in case you have more videos later on. So you have to switch to the computer audio. Okay, a friendly reminder for more videos coming up, if there's any.
no, that's not the only one video.
Okay,
So
thanks.
basically, we help people, the Indian infrastructure point of view, making the retrofit solutions to bring the awareness about over usage, about water and electricity without using water meters. So that is the USP of solution. We also bring the quality to the people to avoid any health issues. And these are the dashboards what we have for B2B and B2C. And we also help a government, Indian government, to understand the village, pin code, city-based live water consumption, usage, leakage data to understand, so that water consumption can be saved. And this is what the saving metrics. An individual home is able to save up to 50% water and energy on a daily basis, minimum 2,000 rupees to 5,000 rupees savings every month. So we also make these water purifiers at the water ATMs, the public water ATMs also smart, reduce their operational expenses and bring more efficient to the ecosystem. And we help vendors and also the end customers to bring this entire platform live. And we also have a solution to make the existing sewage network smart. Any manholes can be made smart with the live dashboard, the variation, geolocation, to help the sewage municipalities and the government and smart cities to keep the cities clean and avoid any future overflowing of the manholes as well. So this is for the Indian government, the Jal Mission project, where we have built a custom developed solution. Every village, the water quality, water consumption data are live available on mobile and web dashboards. And we have also built a vision-based AI system. Conventional, the sensor-based water or sewage infrastructure can be completely removed with the vision AI and ML. This we have built along with the Qualcomm India as part of Qualcomm India Design Contest. It is just an integration of 5G, vision, AI and ML and AWS recognition. So these are social and economical advantages with our platform brings in. The data analytics and water consumption availability, helping common people and industry reduce significant water consumption and energy consumption as well. Majorly, we are emphasizing the wastage, which is very the big concern across Asia. The people are completely unaware of or the usage itself. That is how we are running out of all the energy, water and natural resources. And we also bring the quality to here. The water, see in India, the water has gone to 1,000 feet deep and in Bangalore itself, and the quality is contaminated. So we help to understand in real-time water quality. It could be TDS, pH, ORP, nitrogen, nitrate, chlorine, all that. The leakage in India is the biggest concern. In Bangalore itself, every day 3 million liters of water being wasted. That is also a big non-revenue water. And we help in, if whether it is at individual home level or it is the distribution network itself. The public water distribution can also be completely integrated and the city pin code based data, live data. And we also bring the automation here, helping the B2B companies to reduce their operational expenses, because during the COVID, finding the people to maintain their infrastructure was become a significant challenge. So we help a lot of companies to overcome that part. And in summary, we address this SDGs 6, 9, 11, and 12. Helping people to reduce their consumption in energy and water as well. That is how we can build a next generation smart and sustainable society. So these are the awards we have received in last 3.5 year journey from various B2B and government as well as technology companies. And we are looking forward with the Taiwan cooperation on mass production of our solutions, and as we want to scale across Asia, Africa, and South America as well. So that's all from my side. I'm open for any questions. I thank all of you for providing me an opportunity to showcase our solution and talk about our solution.
Thank you, Mr. Matt, for a detailed explanation and sharing once again. Thank you so much. All right, now back to our speaker from Taiwan. I would like to invite Mr. Thomas Ho, the Vice President of Business Development of Ubiik, to share on IoT applications for energy conservation and management. Welcome, Mr. Ho.
Hello, everyone. This is Thomas from Ubiik. Let me spend a few minutes talking about the IoT technology we use for the energy market. Some information about our company. Basically, we're an IoT solutions provider. And the company was founded in 2016, and now we have about 80 employees. Headquarters in Taipei, Taiwan, and we have branch office in US, Japan, India, and also France. You can see that our management team actually is quite diversified. So we currently have a general manager in India. We started with a low-power wide area network protocol technology called Wireless. And for the first 2 years, we've been seeking to find a market for it. And luckily, in 2018, we got the TAIPEI smart meter AMI communication tender. And luckily, we got a tender award for the 3 consecutive years, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Last year, there was no tender awarded. But last year, we closed our Series A funding for US $5 million. And in addition to the Taiwan market, we also got into the Japan market, and this year, India is our big focus. Let me spend a few minutes talking about what we did and have done in Taiwan. So basically, we provided this whole area. It's not working? Okay, that's fine. So basically, we provided a shaded area solutions for TAIPEI. So at the lower right corner, there are smart meters. We don't do meters, but we do the meter communication. So they are, we call it a fan, plug into the meter. So the meter, they are not only smart, they can be connected. And so the data will be sent wirelessly to the data concentration unit. You can see it as kind of like a gateway device. And then sent to our backend head-end system. And then all the meter data stored on the head-end system will get aggregated into the TAIPEI's MDMS, Meter Data Management System. So we not only provide the hardware, we also provide a software system, and we also do deployment, installation, and maintenance. And one thing worth noting is we're the only company that got this tender awarded. They're using a local grown technology, Wireless. So here you can see, as I mentioned, we don't do meters, but we do plug in here a communication module. TAIPEI called it FAN, Field Area Network Module. And in India, they call this NIC, NIC, so Network Interface Card. So once you plug that in, the meter then can be connected wirelessly. And the meter data, basically, they got sent to devices like these, those circles, called DCU. So you can see them as a base station to connect the data. And then the DCU will send the data to the backend system. And here is the front end that you can see the user interface for the backend system that TAIPEI requested. We call it head-end system, HES. In addition to software and hardware, actually, we also have an AI team. And the AI team's main purpose is to identify where should we deploy the DCU, the gateway, to have the best coverage, to cover the most meters. Because, so for example, if we have one DCU that can connect to 1,000 meters, or versus comparing to one DCU that only connects to like 100 meters. So that's actually a huge cost benefit for us. So we use this because we're a small company, so we use Google Earth data, we use public data, and put them into the AI model and to find the best location to deploy those DCUs. As I mentioned, we are a total solution provider. So after getting the TAIPEI AMI tenders and we had some success in experience, we actually got introduced to a very big Japan customer. And with that customer, we provide both smart meters and the communication modules, along with the backend system. So as always, we're an IoT total solution provider. Okay, so then to India. Actually, we've been looking at the India market and have people working there for, if I remember correctly, more than 2 years. But late last year, then we think we made enough study and we want to really get into the market. So of course, we want to enter with where we're most familiar with, which is the smart meter AMI area. So we took a look at the market, and you can see all those numbers here. They are maybe common for India people, but they are like huge, super astronomical numbers for us in Taiwan. Yeah, and actually, for example, in Taiwan, we want to have smart meter because there's a policy that we want to like get them wirelessly connected. But actually in India, to our understanding, because the electricity theft the issue is so important. So there's actually a strong incentive for the utility companies there to replace their meters to smart meters. So we think that this actually could be a pretty good opportunity for us. So we made some studies, and we think that there are some segments, but we still decide that we would like to go to the left block, which is consumer meters, which is the area that we're most familiar with. Yeah, but of course, since we're just a small startup company in Taiwan, we will not be able to do this ourselves in India. So we need to partner with the local India company. Yeah. So what I just mentioned actually is what we did, what we have been doing, and what we're currently still doing. And what I'm going to mention now is what we are going to do and moving forward. So basically, we'll be focused on distributed energy resources management. So I think we all know that countries worldwide, we all face the same challenge because of climate, because of the more and more electricity usage. So there are actually a huge challenge everywhere. So not only for electricity, providing enough electricity to the users, but also there are like the certain goals like net zero. So the solutions for all these problems, basically they are like, for example, distributed power generation. So in addition to like traditional electricity generator, so now there are also solar, there are like offshore wind, even hydrogen, as mentioned in previous session. And also, we think that the very important part is also load management and buffers as well. So buffers are actually, so you can have energy storage before the meter or behind the meter. Yeah. So basically, for us, we will focus on behind the meter energy storage solution. So load management, basically, there are open standards like OpenADR, automated demand response. So these are all tactics to provide solutions for the ongoing grid system problems. So here, this is just an idea to let you know that, as I mentioned, currently we'll be looking at behind-the-meter solutions. So basically, for each Ubiik EMS site, it will be either like a small factory or like a hostel. We're not really penetrating into like each individual households because it's actually too small. And also in Taiwan, the market is particularly tough because the electricity fee, the rate is actually pretty low. Yeah, so there's not much incentive to do this, but we still need to like prove our solution is working in the home market before exporting it to outside countries. So for each site that we can manage using our EMS system, so we can help them either to reach net zero or let the sites to have more power supply resiliency. And once we have more sites, enough sites, then we can aggregate them into a virtual power plant platform. But this actually will be like our next step, our second stage, because actually for the VPP platform, that actually is more related to each individual country's regulations. So if we take a closer look at we call this a nanogrid, so it's even smaller than microgrid. So for example, as I mentioned, in Taiwan, actually not just in Taiwan, at least in Taiwan and in the US, the demand charge, once your electricity usage goes through a certain threshold, the demand charge actually can be very high, super high. Like in California, for example, the demand charge rate can be 10 times higher than the normal electricity rate. So of course, for individual users, one important point is to like avoid the demand charge and also to leverage the time of use, TOU tariff. And in certain areas, the energy storage solution can also provide backup power. And now, because there are now more and more electric vehicles, EVs, so there will also be EV chargers. So every EV charger actually consumes a lot of electricity. So we also include the EV charging platform to manage the EV charger power output. So basically, this is like a high-level architecture of what we've been doing. So here in the household or in our site, there may be a loading like EV charger, and we'll have the battery system for energy storage. And of course, for all these, we need to have a meter or something similar to monitor the electricity usage. And we have a local gateway to do some very basic data processing and also to manage the device connectivity. And here on top, then we see like EV charger management, the solar monitoring forecasting, and load monitoring, which I will explain in the later slides. And on the upper left, it is the demand response. So for example, in Taiwan, TAIPEI will adapt the OpenADR standard. So for example, when the grid is actually in a very tight supply, it can send a command out to all the subscribers of this OpenADR. And then, for example, they say, for all your air conditioners, please raise the temperature by 2 degrees to lower the electricity usage, or turn all your cooling to just fan, for example, just to lower the electricity usage for a certain period of time, like 15 minutes or even to 2 hours. So this is OpenADR on the upper left. So as I mentioned, here, if you come from the left, it's basically, so there are all kinds of data that we need to monitor. So like the electricity usage, the meter data, or like we can get the weather data or satellite image to do the solar panel electricity generation prediction. And also because of the meter data that we can monitor all the loading, then we can also see the load forecasting. So using all those data, so we can use our AI system to compute and instruct the battery when to charge the battery or when to discharge. So by doing this, then you can, for example, you can shave the peak and store the excess energy into the storage system, and then discharge the battery electricity for loading, so to lower the overall electricity usage, and also make the curve much smoother. We have 2 sites in Taiwan. Currently, we are 2 sites ongoing. One is in Yilan, which is a hostel. So we have solar panel and battery connected to a hybrid inverter. And another site is in Hsinchu in an office area. So there will be a solar panel connected into inverter and a battery connected to PCS. And all these are connected through IoT technology. So we can monitor, and we can also manage and control the energy storage in the battery. So as I mentioned, our second step actually will be to here in the red circles, electricity market forecasting and the aggregator for the virtual power plant platform. So we hope that once we have this verified complete in Taiwan, and then we can also have this solution for the India market. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ho, for your wonderful sharing and very detailed explanation. Please return to your seat briefly before the panel discussion. All right, we'll move on to a roundtable discussion on India-Taiwan collaboration, opportunities and challenges. Let us invite Ms. Mila Zhuang, the Project Manager of International Cooperation Center of TCA, as the moderator of the upcoming panel discussion. All right, and I'll hand over the stage to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm Mila from International Cooperation Center of TCA, and thank you all so much for being with us till now, the last session of ITCF 2022. In this session, we're going to broaden the discussion from the green energy to Indian-Taiwan business collaboration. So you'll be able to hear more insights from the speakers about their experiences in working with Taiwanese or Indian partners. But before that, I'd like to give you a short update from ICC. So we all know that when it comes to Indian startup ecosystem, India is indeed a thriving star. So with more than 40 unicorns born in last year in India. So yeah, I'm going that way too. So to strengthen and deepen the collaboration between, please, next page, please. No, last page, last one. So to strengthen and deepen the collaboration between Taiwan and Indian collaboration, ICC has established twin innovation platform. Yeah, so this is what we have established from the beginning of this year. So this is Twin Innovation Platform, and today is actually the debut of this logo, so I'd like to share some more beautiful story about this logo. So TW here stands for Taiwan, and IN here stands for India. We're so excited to find out that the combination of Taiwan and India is actually twin. So yeah, so that's maybe it means that we're born to working together. And also the I here is actually come from the images of two things. So first one is the magnifier, which means that we're keen to seek the opportunity for our members. The second one is the car's dashboard indicator there, so which represents that we're actually accelerating this car, so we want to not only seek the opportunity, but also speed up the collaboration between Taiwan and Indian companies. So what is Twin Innovation Platform? What kind of services do we provide to our members? So the concept of Twin Innovation Platform is to integrate all TCA-related, startup-related resources onto one platform, and to be the one-stop gateway for Indian companies who want to go into Taiwan ecosystem, and for the Taiwan companies who want to go into Indian market. So this is the one-stop gateway for them. And except for the ITCF and career seminar and other online webinars that we've been doing almost a decade, we still offer tailored matchmaking that help you to gain the access to the investors or the ecosystem players or other business partners. And the complete PR support here gives you the marketing exposure from different aspects. So we have Smart City Expo in India, exposure opportunity, and InnoVEX online here in Taiwan and global. So we know that this is pretty much the concept of this platform, but we know that it always takes two to tango. So I'd like to bring up my colleague from India. So Mr. Prerna Krishnan, do you want to say hi to us? Yeah, so yeah, Prerna is now online, waving to us. So please feel free to contact us for more information for this platform. And so now, I know that we should get the stage back to our panelists. So first of all, I'd like to bring up Mr. Harkishan Chaplani, President of Indian Association in Taipei. Please give him a round of applause. And please have a seat here. And please welcome back Dr. Fred Chen and Thomas Ho back to the stage, please. And also we have our panelists joining us online. Dr. Prerna Soni is here as well, and Prerna is here with us as well. So please give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you all for being with me here. So for the first question, I want to start with a more general one. And I'd like you to walk through very quickly as a part of your intro. And can you please tell us about what are some of the more visible climate issues here in Taiwan or India, and is it affecting your business or life? So let's start from Kish.
Well, you're talking about the climate. Climate is a problem for the world also, but recently for the countries where already too hot, it's a very big problem. Like India recently had a heat wave. In this heat wave, even the birds which were flying, they also fell down and they died. Just imagine the people who don't have the houses to stay, how much death rate will be there. But it is always said, if the one problem is there, the solving problem is always the other thing. So the one industry dies, the other industry gets up. Due to too much of a heat, the factory workers are in a very big problem, and they generally don't try to work too much, and they take the rest. Once the factory workers start taking rest and all that, the productivity is less and becomes a problem. But at the same time, when it is too hot, the air conditioning and the heat sustainable thing, heat reducing thing, industry gets more better. So this is the win-win situation. One industry dies, another industry gets up, and the things are going on. Thank you.
Thank you, and just take turns, please.
Okay. I grew up in the rural area in Taiwan, nearby Alishan, Chiayi. When I remember back then, we lived in an old farmhouse with brick wall and tile roof. And during the winter time, when I got up, I could see a white layer of the frost over the red roof. It's actually very beautiful. And then back in at the time when I came to Taipei to attend the senior high school, that was, I believe it's back in 1960 something. Okay. That particular year, actually Taipei got snow. And I was so surprised and so happy to touch the snow around the here area in the Taipei. But a couple, since then, those kind of event didn't happen. Instead, what we got in right now is we got extreme weathers, warm, hot, and severe rains. So that weather really changed a lot. The global warming that is coming. Okay, that's my experience.
Okay, for me, basically before all the climate change that people are talking, I always told my foreign friends, I said, don't come to Taiwan between June to October. It's just too hot and too humid. And I think the statement still stays the same for now. It's just that it gets even hotter. And when it rains like a lot heavier. So yeah, weather definitely is having an impact for all of us. I don't think, not particularly to our business yet, but the overall electricity policy or stuff like that, I think that actually impacts our business more. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's hear from Indian locally. Prerna, please.
Sure, thank you. I absolutely agree with Mr. Chablani. The problem is global. It's not just Indian, but or actually, as a matter of fact, only Taiwan. But if I talk about specifically developing and emerging economies, 2/3 of the world's population is in these countries, but only 1/5 of the investment in clean energy actually happens in developing and emerging markets. Emerging markets are expected to have emissions, because there's so much industrialization happening. There's a very young population. There are smart cities being built. There's so much growth happening that the emissions in these countries are going to be 5 gigatons as against advanced economies, wherein the number will be somewhere around 2 gigatons. So there has to be a lot of focus on a lot of these developing nations. It's imperative that when we look at growth happening in countries like India, as a matter of fact, it has to be sustainable. And there is this report by IEA which says that actually the investment in clean energy in all of these countries, including countries like India, only for clean energy has to be more than $1 trillion so that the world can stay on our target of reaching net zero emissions by 2050. I think the problem is very grave. The kind of solutions that all of us have to come up with for India and for the world and for Taiwan have to be very, very quick and very advanced. Thank you.
Thank you. Prentice, do you want to share your experience?
Yeah, as everyone was mentioning, the climate issues are definitely affecting all of us. And to put it simply, that is the main reason why we chose this topic and we are discussing today on this topic. And as Mr. Chablani was also mentioning, the heat wave, and we also have issues like the untimely rain and the aberrated monsoon cycle, which affects the agriculture produce and in the food supply. And also in an put it with the energy perspective, any country which is depending on the finite source, natural resources in terms of energy, that is definitely going to have a problem with the, the power issues, which will affect the industry in turn, and on a larger scale, the economy as well. And one thing I specifically want to put in here is the recent discussions, like global level discussions, which happened in Japan, the Indo-Pacific economic framework, wherein India very unequivocally made it stand clear that one of the founding pillar of this framework is on clean energy and decarbonization. And especially when we talk about Indo-Pacific region, I think there's a great role that both India and Taiwan can play together. And I think this is the right forum that we can initiate it. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all for sharing your experience with me. And yeah, I like to make some echo to our Taiwan speakers here from Taiwan. Actually, I see Taipei like snow for once, but I didn't know that back to like 20, I don't know, years, there was snow in Taiwan. And I also agree with Thomas that we don't really invite foreign friends to come to Taiwan in the hot and humid months here in Taiwan. So yeah, next up, I'd like to dive into the discussion with you, each of you more. And apparently we have a new face here. So I'd like to throw my question to Mr. Kish first. So we know that you are really a veteran when it comes to doing business between Taiwan and India. You've already spent like more than 40 years here in Taiwan. So can you give us some tips or reminders when we are trying to do business together, from Taiwan to India or Indian to Taiwan, either cultural or business-wise? Yeah, please, floor is yours.
Well, all my Taiwanese friends, they always call me Taiwanese born in India, because 40 years in Taiwan and 30 years in India. So I have more knowledge about Taiwan, not in India. Anyway, what problems I find, the basic problem of Taiwan and India are, of course, the cultural thinking, attitudes. Different countries have the different things and all that. But once you want to enter into the business, the understanding and cooperation is the most important thing. The understanding lies when you communicate with each other, and if you don't understand each other, then it creates a problem. Doing business is like a marriage. In a marriage also, if you are not compromising or telling with your partner, there are always problems. So it is always better to understand each other. The biggest problem is Chinese grammar and the English grammar are two different ways. So when Chinese people try to speak English, they try to translate the Chinese way into English, which is not correct. And once the language is not correct, the understanding is not correct. So when the understanding is a problem, doing business becomes a little difficult. Second biggest problem of Taiwan is that Taiwanese people are very polite, very humble. Whenever you talk to them, even if they don't understand, they say yes, they understand. When you don't understand, and if you don't clarify the things goes second level, and you still are in bigger problem. So it is better, please, if you don't understand, do the think twice before talking to each other. To solve this particular problem, I had spoken to Dennis, who is the president of FICCI, that these are the main problems and all that. What he did, that he went to India, he opened the office in India, where he invited all Indians to the class, training class, how to work in Taiwanese companies. In the same way, if the government can have this kind of an institution in Taiwan and in India, so that the people are know what is the culture and what is the language, that becomes more easier. Once the basic thing is clear, second thing comes, when you do a business, it always depends upon your price. If the price is not workable, the business is very difficult. So Taiwan presently is on the very high tech. And of course, I don't expect Taiwan people to go lower and all that. But to capture a big market like India, you have to compromise some kind of a quality, reasonably good quality, so that you can meet the price and you can sell the things and all that. For this, the best way is either go to India or do the joint collaborations. That is the only thing you can be successful in doing business with India. Once you have done these collaborations and all that, and for this, you must at any cost employ a person who is very good in Chinese and very good in English, so that your understandings are always clarified and not a problem. This is the best way to do it and all that. No matter whatever we say, whatever we do, if both the governments, their policies are not compromised or they are not meeting with each other to solve the problems, nothing is going to happen. They have to come out with the free trade agreement so that we should do the business. Presently, in India, the import duties on Taiwan products are very high. And other products going from China and other places are very cheap. Now, even if India wants to buy a very good quality, which Taiwan is good at it, still the import duty is so high that it's not workable. So it becomes a very big problem. In this case, I only request Taiwan government and India government, please kindly come together, compromise in a nice way, so that we should start doing business fast. There is no problem on earth. Mind you, there is no problem on earth. There is always a solution for it. So if you only think about the solution, you will always be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Kish. And I'm pretending that I understand what you're all sharing and saying yes to all what you just shared. So yeah, this is actually led to my next question to Dr. Fred Chen. So I know that we all know that in Taiwan we're known for our supply chain power, and you've been working with Taiwan factories for so many years. And you also throw a light on the business model on what's your ideal model to work with the Indian local partners. So can you tell us more about that? And do you have any successful story working with Indian partners already to share with us?
Yeah, the previous presentation talked about the Indian market and the opportunity, and then our company's partnership program, that's a strategy. That the way we see it is that the Taiwan in the whole, Taiwan is very rich, especially in the e-scooter industry. Taiwan is very strong in the technology-wise, because we started 30-some years ago, and we are very strong in the electronics, which is a key part of these e-scooters. So taking these technology and design experiences, we like to work with someone over in India area that has the traditional experience in terms of making a gas-powered scooters. And then join together, we should be able to do a good market penetration to gaining the market share over there. Again, we do have one, initially, we have one customer that working with us under this kind of program. And then as my previous guest talking about here, is that the tax, the import tax from Taiwan into India suddenly become a problem. Even just to send some sample over there is an issue, not to mention that try to send a design reference e-scooter over there. It's suddenly become very, very expensive. So we have to knock down everything, and even with a knockdown into a component level, the import tax is still pretty high. It's 15% or something. Okay. As compared to they getting from the mainland China, which is at a lot lower cost. So we are facing this trading barrier, not just the technology-wise, but it's also some legality issues on the trading. So the way we see it is to having a good partner over in India is eventually we would like to work with this partner, maybe setting up factory directly over there. So everything could meet the so-called local made or very high local made content to meet the India's government standard. And then we could work with our partner together to gain the business success. Okay. So that's kind of summary what we are today.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. And actually, it reminds my last private conversation with Kish. Kish also mentioned about the tax issue. Tax is really a barrier. So yeah, thank you so much. So actually, I believe that iMeier is calling for a local partner there in India. So if you know anyone that could be a perfect fit for this opportunity, feel free to contact Fred after this event. So yeah, we have.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, we have another representative from Taiwan to share with us. So we know that when we talk about technology, it is universal, but doing like business in different geographies is not alike. So we know that Ubiik's doing so well in the U.S. and in Japan, and we know from your previous presentation that you're having a big move here in India, like expanding your business to India in this year. So. And we also know that you've already done so many like market research on Indian market. So can you share with us when you are entering a new market, how you like set up your strategy? And do you have any because you already have very good experience there. So can you please share with us if there's any challenge or a lesson learned that worth to share with us? And in your opinion, what would be a key to success for the people who want to enter India market? Please.
Okay, thank you. So many people may think that nowadays internet, you can find any information on internet. Yeah, that's just partially true, because it really depends on the market that you're trying to get into. So in our point of view, we think that there are certain markets in the world that after you do online surveys, study, research, you still need to have some local resource to verify, to check if your study outcome is really true, right? So, and we identify that India is actually one of these kind of markets. So we have people in India for, I think, almost 2 years, and we've been looking at the market and actually trying to do something there. But as I mentioned, late last year, we decided to reach out to the government. So, and luckily, we got the Bureau of Foreign Trade support and also TAITRA support. TAITRA stands for Taiwan External Trade Development Center, although I don't know how those words come together with TAITRA. So we got actually huge support from TAITRA. So TAITRA people, TAITRA staff in India, they actually helped us to talk to reach to the companies or even government officials that we want to reach out to. But of course, before that, we did our study, we think pretty well, because the TAITRA people told us that many Taiwan companies reach out to TAITRA. When they reach out to TAITRA, they always say, oh, okay, I want to get into, for example, India or Indonesia. So what can I do? So just such a big open question. But when we talked to TAITRA, we told them clearly that, okay, after our study, we want to talk to these two companies. We want to reach out to these two government departments. So can you please help us? So actually, TAITRA then feel that, oh, actually, this company already did their homework. So yeah, we can really provide support to them. And also, they have a much better idea because they only have people there, and they, of course, have certain connections, but they don't know all the industries. Of course, they don't know every company. So actually, there are a lot of resources like this. And actually, after getting support from Taitra, we just learned that, actually, Taipei Computer Association, TCA, actually, they also have very good resources in India. But yeah, luckily, we don't need to use that yet. But maybe, who knows, someday, yeah, we may need help from TCA. So I think getting to a new market, at least, especially for small companies, startups, we have very limited resources. So we really need to leverage all existing resources available. And before reaching out for help, maybe try our best to do our homework, do our own research well. I think that's probably it. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. And before we go into hearing opinion from India, actually we have Dr. Jija Lee here with us. So do you want to say something to us, because we've been talking about the collaboration issue here in Taiwan. So let's give him a round of applause and welcome him onto the stage.
Thank you very much. I think lots of good issues also been discussed. Just on behalf of government Taiwan, I would like to briefly respond to some key issues. So first, between government of Taiwan and the government of India, several collaboration platforms already being established. So we have the annual economic consultation meetings, and to talk about some important issues, including market access. And Dr. Cheng just mentioned recently we already concluded the MOU on the standardization and conformity assessment. So right now the teams on both sides will further discuss how can we make the testing and also the standardization issues more facilitated, and that will enhance the growth of the bilateral trade. And also, secondly, the industrial collaborations. So this year we have the annual Industrial Collaboration Summit. And Taiwan, we have the National Industrial Association. In India, the partner is FICCI. So every year we focus on some important issues, including the smart city, smart transportation, and the ICT, and also other important industry sectors, like machinery, steel, textile, and so on. So that's another platform. And also we have the Taiwan Expo in India, which is organized by Taitra this year. So this expo is also to highlight the whole image of Taiwan. So we would like to enhance the understanding, and mutual understanding is very essential for doing more business. And to understand the different culture, understand the different background of the market, and also understand the different environment for industry and also for business development. So Taiwan Expo in India will be held in Mumbai this year, and also online merge offline. So I would like to encourage and welcome all the interested Taiwanese and the Indian business partners and friends, and please join us to these events. And also I would like to mention Invest India. So Ministry of Economic Affairs Taiwan, we built a very close partnership with Ministry of Commerce and the Industry, and also Invest India. And we have a special team called Taiwan Plus, so which to facilitate the more incoming investment to India. And also we welcome more Indian companies also to look into the potential opportunities to foot it in Taiwan, and also have a more business operation in Taiwan. So Invest India, that also try to let Taiwanese potential investor to understand more incentives, more schemes for the investment in India, and also build a very good bridge role between public and the private sectors. So finally, putting into the Indo-Pacific context, so this concept, I think right now is very important. And we talk about the Indo-Pacific collaboration, we talk about the global competition, and we talk about the India and Taiwan bilateral cooperation. I think putting this bilateral and also regional and the global context for further consideration. I just give my best wishes to all the potential opportunities. So once again, I think I thank you for all the very good and valuable comments. And the government of Taiwan and in collaboration with government of India will do our best to build a closer and a stronger partnership. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. G.J. Lee, and thank you for adding this such abundant information. And I just want to echo to what Thomas just said, and I hope that one day TCA can support you in any ways, maybe in Indian market or other, like we're now looking to Western Europe countries as well. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything from us. So yeah, so it's time to hear some aspect from India. So Prerna, thanks for waiting us. And but I know that you've been sharing so much on your presentation, but we know that India is really a land of opportunities, and you've been also hear about the two Taiwan companies sharing as well. So if you are asked to give a one-on-one suggestion to these two companies, what would you say? And can you give our Taiwanese companies who want to go into India market but concerning of cultural difference? And because we're a little bit run out of time, so we'll just speed up all the process after. Yeah, thank you. Prerna, please.
Sure. Thank you so much for the question. I've been hearing what the Taiwanese companies are saying, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. So what Thomas said about how they've been able to approach and target the Indian market is exceptional. I'll just make very quick 4 points. The first important aspect of investing in India is knowing the Indian market. I'll give you a very straight example of General Motors. General Motors came to India from US. They brought a US product to India not knowing what India needed. And that is why they were not successful in the country. They had to eventually leave. It is very essential to understand, and I understand this was actually mentioned by a fellow panelist as well. It is essential to understand that India is a developing nation. For us, even when we do tenders, pricing is the most important aspect. We are not in a position like Taiwan or European countries wherein our criteria for determining becomes quality, which is why it is essential to adapt and reform your product to make sure it fits the Indian ecosystem. Point number 2 that I want to make is, while I completely understand and appreciate that there are a lot of cultural differences that continue to exist, while I think when we're talking about business, we're becoming a global market. The entire world has become a single market. So it's important, of course, to then use what are the platforms that are available to at least get an entry into the country. I really like what Thomas said, and I think it's a brilliant approach to do your homework and then use associations. But for a lot of companies who don't even know what is it that India has to offer, Thomas in his presentation was talking about the huge demand for smart meters. We are looking at 250 million smart meters by 2025. It can be a little intimidating knowing the size that we are talking about. Use entities like Taiwan Plus, which have officials from Indian government and Taiwan government. Use TCA, use TAIPEI. Even if you want only reports on India, use all these platforms to get to know India better. Third, I think we've seen a very excellent example of what we've been able to do in India for Japan and Korea, and we would love to do that for Taiwan, which is that we've created clusters for these countries' companies in India. So all Japanese companies in India are in very specific clusters. There is something very close to Delhi wherein all Japanese companies are together. For us, that's like a mini Japan. We have Japanese restaurants there. There's a lot of golf there, considering the Japanese like golfing. We've done this for Korea as well. There's a place called Greater Noida next to Delhi, which it's almost, if you go out there on a regular day, you'll see more Koreans than Indians. We want to do that for Taiwan in India to be able to make sure that along with ease of doing business in India, you have ease of living in India. You feel the kind of comfort that you're used to in Taiwan, in India as well. Fourth, I would just say, we've been talking about duties. normally as a country, we have same duties across all nations. We don't really differentiate between China and Taiwan, but I would want to, understand these products. If we can work with somebody, probably with Premji, to understand specifically what are these products we are talking about. As Taiwan Plus, as in West India, we will take it up with specific government agencies to make sure there is no differentiation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for Prerna, for sharing so much information in such a very short time. And last but not least, I'd like to ask my colleague Prerna to use about 30 seconds to echo and wrap up our roundtable for today. And maybe you can point out some important takeaway for the audience today. Yeah, please, Prerna.
Yeah, thank you, Mila. Since I have only 30 seconds left, like it's always, encouraging to see the enthusiasm among the Taiwan as well as the Indian companies to collaborate, and the current geopolitical situation. And I think it has been rightly understood by the business that you need to diversify your resources at different localities, not just putting everything in one location. So that is something which again pricks those companies to look at having operations in India. And some of the I think the tax related, there is always an option out. And when you mention like problem, I just want to put it like, rather than mentioning it as a problem, these are only mere inconveniences wherein we sit at both sides of the table, we can discuss it and sort it. Like, we had the input tax credits which been utilized by some of the Taiwanese companies by the CKD, SKD kind of ways. And then there are the much talked about PLI scheme that the government is very receptive in terms of getting suggestions from the industry, and they can work on it. And as Ms. Soni mentioned, like the Invest India and specifically the Taiwan Plus, the TCA in India, the TAITRA, everybody, we all, along with the Indian Industry Association, work hand in hand in sorting out the problem being faced by the industries. And finally, also, like when these the Taiwan companies look at India as a not just as a market, but I think this can be your gateway to further expanding your business to say Africa, Middle East, or Europe. So that could also be an option that the Taiwan companies could look at in a larger scale. And as Mila mentioned, like TCA has many platforms where we offer hand-holding to the Taiwan companies. So you can always reach out to us, and we hand in hand with Taiwan Plus, Invest India, TAITRA, and many other Indian Industry Association, we provide solution for the Taiwanese companies. So wonderful to be part of this, and we further look at hearing inputs from the Taiwan industry. Thank you. Over to you, Mila.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before we end this conversation, I'd like to invite all of you to take a group photo with me. And Dr. Lee, do you mind if you come up and take a photo with us? So, no, please seat. And I'll stand here. So, Dr. Lee, you can sit here. Yeah. So, yeah, first of all, please look. Please look to our photographer and just smile. Okay, so second one, please give me a victory sign, please. Victory sign, everybody. Okay, so last one, let's have a thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all once again. Please kindly return to your seats with extra care. And thank you all our panelists and moderator today for such a wonderful and insightful panel discussion. All right, thank you everyone once again for your participation today. Please be informed that this forum has been recorded and will be available on our social media platform really soon. You can also stop by our registration desk anytime at the back exit to leave your name card and for any updates of our program. And for all our online viewers, our links are now in the chat room. You can follow us and stay updated of our future events. Thank you all once again to join us today, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.